Meanwhile, the sheriff of Orange County, California, is at war with the California state government. Sheriff Sandra Hutchins was on the show earlier this week, says she wants to help catch illegal immigrants. ICE is trying to do that. She's being prevented from doing that by the state. She's now being menaced with a lawsuit or even arrest. Fox's Griff Jenkins is in Southern California tonight on this story. Griff?
Hey, Tucker, I think it's safe to say that California is the unofficial headquarters of the anti-Trump resistance movement, but the president does have some allies here, especially in conservative Orange County. Earlier this week, the County Board of Supervisors voted to join a Trump administration lawsuit against California's sanctuary state law, which has become very controversial. I had a chance to talk to a Republican supervisor, Michelle Steele, who voted to join the lawsuit. She says that while the county resolution is popular, not everyone is happy.
Over 90% overwhelmingly supporting that what we did. But there's a few people that, you're the racist. I've never heard I was a racist. I'm a first-generation Korean American, and, that was the first time I heard.
Now, despite the backlash, the Board of Supervisors definitely isn't alone. San Diego County might also join the lawsuit, and the Orange County Sheriff is also taking measures into its own hands. As you reported earlier this week, the sheriff will start publishing inmate release dates. It's already up. It's who's in jail list, and it helps ICE capture undocumented immigrants that the state is forcing them to release back into the public. Here's what Orange County Under Sheriff Don Barnes told me earlier when we went inside the jail.
We're concerned about our inability to hold people here. Through some legislative changes in the state in the last several years, I think the nation will be shocked to know that we're releasing thieves, drug addicts, drug possession, some of these crimes that normally are high-ranking, high-level crimes, but because of some other legislation, they're now misdemeanors.
All of that due to policies pushed by California Governor Jerry Brown and supported by Attorney General Xavier Becerra. The fate of the sanctuary state law is very much to be determined, but I get the sense while being here that the statewide policies are being dictated mostly by California liberals, mostly outside of Orange County, which is traditionally conservative. As for whether San Diego County joins this fray, well, we'll have to find out. And don't change the channel, because I got a whole lot more on my report being here on the ground during Sean's show. Tucker?
Griff Jenkins in California. Thanks, Griff. Well, with the passage of time, the rhetoric on illegal immigration on the left has become increasingly brazen, and the intentions of those who espouse it are less disguised than they've ever been. So in the 1990s, Bill Clinton pledged to deport illegal immigrants. He got elected on that pledge. In the 2000s, Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton touted their efforts to secure the border. Then, as president, Obama created DACA and other programs to block deportation for certain favored illegal immigrant groups. And now, in the Trump presidency, the mask is off. The left tells us that no illegal immigrant should ever be deported, even ones who have committed crimes. Not only that, they should be allowed to vote. Cesar Vargas and Jennifer Palmieri have both hinted about that recently on this show. Watch.
I do believe that we should have universal voting for everyone to ensure that everyone has
for citizens
democracy,
of other countries. So, like,
republic.
So Putin should be able to vote here.
No taxation without representation. I believe that. That's a fundamental of this nation, isn't it?
Who comes to the United States and buys a deck of Marlboros and pays a sales tax is entitled to vote. That's what you're saying.
If that person comes here to contribute to the country, let him have a say in his government. Simple as that.
Let foreigners vote. I hope the Democratic Party runs on that. I think it'd be a fun election. Yeah. But the details matter. So you said that non-citizens should never vote in elections. I would argue that your party will overtake you on that question soon, but we'll see.
Well, maybe if Congress never does anything to address immigration.
Would any other country tolerate that? Would that idea be taken seriously any place but in the United States? Mexico doesn't take it seriously. In fact, the Mexican Constitution explicitly says, quote, foreigners shall not in any way involve themselves in the political matters of the country. Nobody's attacking Mexico for that. Mexico's not being denounced as racist for not letting Salvadorans vote, because it's obvious only Mexicans should dictate Mexican politics. That's why Mexico's a country. Only in the United States is there a different standard, and it's because the left sees the new standard as a way to obtain power and hold it forever. Kathy Rue is founding publisher of Catalina magazine, and unlike many on the left, very honest about what she thinks, and we're grateful for that. She joins us tonight. So, Kathy, you think that people who are not citizens of the United States ought to be allowed to vote in federal elections, correct?
I feel that people who are contributing and are humans and are in our society and contributing to our society should have a say, yes, in what happens in our democracy. Yes.
How would we measure that? So would we say that everyone who's making a net contribution, paying more in taxes than they're getting in services, for example, those people can vote? Or people who own property?
At the moment, I mean, we have so many people that are living in this country. We have about 11, 12 million people that are living in this country, contributing to our society, paying their taxes, as that previous guest had said, taxation without representation. So there are so many people who are living here but don't have a voice. So it's been shown that when they do have a voice, they do feel more empowered, and they are part of our society. So people,
well, they definitely would feel more empowered by voting. There's no doubt. I mean, you're absolutely right on that. They would definitely be empowered.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering what the standard is. So could I be on vacation here from another country and, you know, stay for a while, contribute greatly? How long would I have to stay in order to be able to vote?
Well, I mean, I think it goes state by state, and I think Maryland right now has a few cities that allows undocumented people to vote. So
right.
I would wonder how Maryland's doing it, and that's not California, that's Maryland. So I would say
that raises a question.
What Maryland's doing in other states.
So if foreigners should be allowed to vote in our elections, why shouldn't residents of Mississippi be allowed to vote in California elections?
Exactly, we should. I mean, the United States is the United States. So yeah, if I'm a Floridian and I'm visiting New York, so why can't I vote in New York? Absolutely. I think we should be able to vote wherever we happen to be. Yeah.
Should we be able to vote in Mexico?
Well, if we're contributing to their society and living there for years, and perhaps if there's a law that allows us to, absolutely. But the American way was established with people voting in the 1700s that were undocumented. So we actually were created as a nation of people that were undocumented and voting. So it is the American way.
It was, a nation of illegals for sure. But let's just get back to Mexico. So their constitution says, illegal, undocumented. That's kind of a hybrid of the two. But their constitution says that foreigners are not allowed to participate in any way in their politics. Isn't that racist?
Well, I mean, but America is not racist. That's what makes America so beautiful. America is a melting pot. So that would only make sense that we would allow people who are contributing to our society to vote. So that would make sense.
Okay, so then why are we upset about Russian influence in our elections then? Isn't that kind of what we want? I mean, there are a lot of Russians living here, Russian diplomats living here, long-term living here. Kislyak, the longtime ambassador here.
I don't think the Russian collusion was people contributing and then going to the polls and carrying out their school systems.
Hold on. Why should we, I'm confused. Why should we be worried about foreigners influencing our election on the one hand if you're calling for foreigners to influence our election on the other?
Well, these aren't foreigners. These are people who are living here, working here. Their children are in our schools. They're going to our hospitals. In places where now Trump has ICE visiting to pick up people who are undocumented.
Wait a second. I'm trying to track this because I want to take it seriously, and I do think this is the next frontier in liberalism. I think the Democratic platform will reflect what you're saying probably very soon.
The next frontier in America. You mean the future?
Oh, there's no doubt.
Yes.
Yeah, that's absolutely the future. But so Ambassador Kislyak, the Russian ambassador, spent, I think, like 20 years here. I think his kids grew up here. Certainly a big contributor economically to the city of Washington. Why should I be upset when he votes or influences our politics?
Well,
by this standard.
There's so many people that we are sad that vote, right? But I mean, unfortunately, we don't have people voting that should be voting. We only have, I think, 59% turnout voting right now. So people who do contribute and are great people and contributing should be allowed to vote. So maybe
so that would include good. Well, I'm glad we can give up on the Russian collusion narrative. It was dumb from the beginning, and now I feel good about it because you know what? They're just transitory Americans, undocumented Americans, which I love.
No.
Kathy, yeah.
No,
Great to see you, Kathy. Thank you.
Good to see you. Yep.